Before leaving the floor to the speakers and to start with the program, just some few words about the ELP project, which give us the opportunity to organize this online event. This is a project which started in 2018, and it's supported by the European project Erasmus+, which probably you know that this program is supported the development of trainings and learning methods of various kinds. But ELP's project, it's quite particular because and quite ambitious, because it has several objectives. It has a social objective because it is to help people living in bad condition to renovate their place of living. It is also it has also ecological objective, because this renovation that we promote should be made with natural material. And it has also a societal objective, because we are developing solidarity project through volunteering, and so it's a whole kind of mind behind. We will present you the different aspects of this project in the second part of this meeting. And in the first part of this meeting, we will first answer to the first question of this of the invitation you may have received, and it concerns the ecological and traditional techniques, and ecological material and traditional techniques, and if it's real, if it can be considered as valuable, reliable, and efficient in modern time. So our two persons will speak on this item. First will be Claire Wari, and then Eleni Pangratiu. Claire Wari is architect. She has been working with us during the whole ELS project here in Greece, and she was our technical advisor, our trainer. You will see when I will present you the project in Greece, her contribution. And but now she will speak on behalf of the university, the Technical University of Crete, the School of Architectural Engineering, because they have developed in a small island close to Crete a very interesting project. So Claire, if you want to share your screen and to start your presentation.
Okay, hello everybody. I hope everybody can hear me. I will share my screen. Just a minute to... Okay. Sorry. Share screen. Okay.
It's okay.
Yes, it's okay. Just 1 minute in order to put in full screen, because with Zoom it takes more time. Here we are. Okay. So, you see my screen? It's okay? Yes?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. So, as Isabel said, I will present you a project that we rule for 1.5 years with the Technical University of Crete. With the School of Architecture, I am representing here the Laboratory of Materials for Cultural Heritage and Modern Building, that is has been founded by the professor Noni Marai-Velaki that I'm work with. Why we present this here, it's because there is a lot in common with the health program we also developed during 3 years here with the partner that are in this meeting mainly. And it also raised other questions about the interesting part and the difficulties to work with and for people, but with people it was more interested, and also how to promote natural materials and local materials to people. So let's start. So I have to say that it's in the frame of a research project, that the name of the research project is Production of Ecological Construction Materials for Natural Resources of Gavdos. And on this project, so this project very important where we are. So we are in the south of Greece, in the south of Crete, on a very little island named Gavdos. And one very important part of the project and of the island is that houses and landscape are mainly the same. When I say the same, I mean that the houses are disappearing in the landscape. And in Gavdos, it's very important because the landscape is very particular, very unique, and still still protected. All the island in the natural protection. So this is very important. Also, it's very important that the houses, because of the insulation of the island, the houses are made with just the material. I'm speaking about traditional houses, of course, are made about material from the place, so the stone, the wood, the earth, and because they use the product of the landscape, the materials of the landscape, you can see on the right of the page that you have a very symbiosis between the landscape and the colors of the walls and the roofs. So now the problem of the island is that the current state of the traditional houses are in very bad condition. I think that this is a very common thing in Mediterranean area, unfortunately. So it's not just in Gavdos. So the rescue intervention are damaging more than saving the buildings. They are damaging the traditional identity using unappropriated materials for restoring, like cement, that it's very strong for the soft stone and the soft mortar of the old houses of Gavdos, and also destroying the identity because everything is covered by a material that is not from the place. So we are losing the benefit that I was told you before. Now, with the program, so the program, something very important I forgot to say, is that the program was in cooperation with the municipality of the island. And one of the challenges of the program was to make affordable, local and compatible materials, because all the materials they were using in the past, they lose the habit to use them. So we had to think about something, of course, local and natural, but very important that was it had to be affordable. So the 3 points we noticed is that Gavdos has a very high quality clays, yes. The aerial lime of the Western Crete, so near from Gavdos, is very cheap and is very good quality too. There is tradition to use lime in Crete and in Gavdos very strong. The third is this importance of color and to make good quality of mortar for plastering floors and roof, because roof has no tiles, as we see, it is a flat roof. And the third thing is, of course, the non-destruction of natural environment. So we couldn't propose something that using a lot of the material of Gavdos, because this means to make a big intervention. So we had to imagine recipes that use a bit of the materials of Gavdos, but in very efficient way. So we went in two directions. First, because also Greece has a very big tradition of this pozzolanic additives from Gavdos earth after heat treatment. For people that are not involved in this kind of research, it's just a product made by fired earth that is making the lime mortar more stronger. And for the second, it's more easy, it's pigments, so colors from Gavdos earths for lime paintings. So for the last coat. So, okay, this is very quickly, this is the project that after the selection of the earths, we pass to the lab and we imagine like mortars and lime paintings. But the most important for our side here now, when we talk, is the fifth point, that is the application of the results and how people of Gavdos can get these results and use them. How we go out of the university and we go with the people of Gavdos that are not used, for example, at all with the vocabulary of the university. So in this case, we made two things in one. We had to put the mortar, to apply the mortar on the island, of course, to see the results of the time and environment on the plasters. So we combined this with a training for people of Gavdos and professionals of building sector and craftsmen. So this is the poster for the workshop. So you can see that the workshop happened very few time ago. So what was in this workshop? So the workshop was named as the program production of ecological construction materials from natural resources of Gavdos. So one of the basic thing we had to do is to present our results, to present the earth we selected. So they were a big part of theory, but the theory was not just the presentation of the result. It was also the to learn people about what is lime, what is earth, and of course how to make a plaster. What does it mean a first coat, a second coat, etc., etc. So it was a very big theoretical part. Then, of course, more than the theoretical part, the practical part was very important. So we learned to people how to localize soil. So we bring people on the place where we selected the earth to show them with a ceramist of the island, to show them how to read the landscape and how to find good clay, of course, respecting the environment, the natural protection, etc., etc. And after, we also made a big part about concerning recognition of earths. So one time you get your earth, what you can do with your earth very simply without the lab, with your hand and a bit of water, let's say, in order to understand if your earth has a lot of clay or strong clay, and if you can use it for making construction materials. So one time we did this. Of course, we learned to people how to make construction material from this earth. So as we say, how you mix the earth for lime paintings, and how you mix the earth to lime and sand to make strong mortar. And this is also something that is interesting, is that because of the program, we had to make it in a public entity. We couldn't go to a private on the island, but the public buildings in the island are not traditional. They are all with cement and plastic paintings. So we had to find a stone wall, but we also decided, even if the program was for traditional houses, we also decided to make some samples on a modern wall, in order that we can say also to people, okay, if you have a cement house, you can also be interested, and it is possible to have also good results for final layer with your cement house, because the reality is that most of the people in Gavdos are living in cement houses. So this was a first point. And the second point for the analysis, because the workshop went well, we had more than 50 people coming on an isolated island as Gavdos. It's in October, it was very good for us. Also that there were people from everywhere, not just from Gavdos, but also people living from Gavdos, people who were born in Gavdos. It was a very good mix of people. So one of the good things also of the project is that we had a house that was restored in 2014 and 15 with this material, with lime and earth, and without cement at all. So we had an example to show. So the photo you see, it's 5 years later, 5 years before, but 5 years later, of course, the woman living inside is living like it's a normal house, let's say. And so this was also very important for the people to see a real project, and a project that 5 years after was in the same condition, like very good condition. So that's it for now. I think just to conclude these two final conclusion for us was very important, like to have example to give to people, and also taking consideration, unfortunately, also cement buildings, because the reality is that we have a lot here. And the next step for us is to apply this methodology in other villages and cities of Greece. So because Crete and Gavdos is a place we know well because the technical university is in Crete. And now we would like to apply the methodology to other places in Greece. So this is our next step. Okay, thank you. That was the presentation.
Thank you very much, Claire. So I think it's an interesting project to demonstrate the effort to make natural material modern and adapted to the modern time. And it's also a nice project combining university research and linking university and research to the local community, and involving people, engaging people in the research. So this project was focused on earth building, and now with Eleni Pangratiu, we are going to speak about another natural material, which is very important in Greece, which is stone building. And Eleni Pangratiu is an old friend of us, of the Mediterranean Center of Environment. She's architect and geographer. She's doing a lot of things, but among all these things, she's architect, geographer, and she's also vice president of the International Scientific Society for Dry Stone Interdisciplinary Study. So, Eleni, if you want to,
yes,
to start.
How can I have the screen?
It's okay. You want to share some photos, something?
No, it's okay.
No, it's okay.
No,
it's okay. You can
okay,
start.
Fine. Mm-hmm. Fine. So good morning to everybody. I'm very happy to be here with you today. I will share with you some of my thoughts about the position of stone constructions and dry stone, especially construction, in the actual conditions, in the actual state of construction in Greece. I work for many years with these materials, the stone, because the area where I work is the Zagori area, a protected area, and all the buildings are made by stone and very, very well adapted in the natural landscape. Now, this technique is considering like an old technique, and people think that it's something of the past, not necessary for today's need. And it's faced as a very hard work also by the builders, and badly remunerated also, because they need much more time to build a house with stone than a pre-constructed house. But fortunately, the factor that saves this technique for the moment is that there are areas that and units that with stone constructions that need to be protected, that are protected and need to be protected. And for these areas, we need builders to keep those constructions in good state and conservation. These technicians are very few today and very old. So we have a very big problem about the continuation of the knowledge, the conservation of the knowledge. Traditionally, the art of stone and dry stone constructions was transmitted from generation to generation. This is a very, very important thing that stopped in our nowadays.
Eleni, I think we lost you. Oh, okay. Your micro just stopped.
Yeah.
Now is
Yeah, it's good.
It's
now.
okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. So I was saying that traditionally the art of stone and dry stone constructions was transmitted from generation to generation. And those builders used to work in groups, and the older technicians used to transmit the knowledge to the youngest in real conditions at work. There was no schools for this technique. This was naturally transmitted. Nowadays, these ways of learning is not possible, because we need much more knowledge, not only to how to construct how to use the how to make just the technical part. To be a technician certificated, you need much more knowledge, and the problem is to integrate this traditional way of learning from generation to generation in the actual educational systems. This is a very, very important thing. We try with many years ago, we started to work on this in European projects, Erasmus Plus, like yours now, but with the theme, the question how to integrate the intergenerational knowledge in the actual systems of education, center for formation centers or schools, to keep this technique alive. The last 20 years, we try also to sensibilize the local authorities, the public, about the importance to keep this knowledge of art alive. Because from one way, from one part, it is considered like something dead, an art that is dead, and the other side, we make efforts for conservation of areas and buildings, traditional buildings made by stone. Among the efforts we made in our area, participating to European projects, was to sensibilize young people. We have a school of architecture in the University of Ioannina, so collaborating with some professors and try to make the students to be interested about this traditional way of construction, and it begins to have some results. We have some results in this way, and we also prepared 2 manuals about dry stone constructions, how to build walls and how to build, how to cover I don't know how to the Galderinia. Can you help me?
The stone roads.
Stone roads, yes, roads were stone, and how to cover also the houses with stones. We also organized, and we continue every year to organize groups of volunteers to learn about these techniques. But there are still many problems. We have difficulties to find the materials. The materials are there, but they are not available in the market. So this is a big problem also. It is very important to organize the local markets to find in situ the materials, because this is very, very, very important about our aims now to use natural materials because of ecological and economic factors, and they are we can recycle those materials, we can save energy, they don't need transport if we use them in situ. They are more healthy also, and we can obtain very good insulation. There are many factors that lead us to say that it is very, very important to go back and to continue to use natural materials and find them in the local market. What we obtain in the last 10 years by the SPS, the organization which I participate as for the dry stone construction study. We organize every 2 years international congresses, which are now, next year it will be the 18th Congress, International Congress. And during these years, an effort has been done with UNESCO, and the technique of dry stone building is now in the list of the
UNESCO heritage recognized.
Yes.
International heritage.
Yes. So this is something positive, but we need now to work very hard to improve that this can be alive and can convince young people and the authorities to make an effort in this way. It's not very easy. The local groups that were the builders that used to build for hundreds of years are now disappearing, and we have some in our area. For example, we have some Albanians that come and know the work, but they apply their own method, which harms a little bit the local architecture. It begins different. So we have to study the local rules, the local ways of constructing, and to keep this alive. We have a very long way to still in Greece with this. Comparing to other countries like Spain, Mallorca, for example, which they organized a very good school with all the builders. They are integrated in this proceeding, and we have also good examples in France. I think it is still very hard to say something about the future in Greece of this effort. So if you want, we can discuss about this. The presentation of Claire was very interesting, but it has to be, it has to go to be practical, to be integrated in the local conditions, and to be a part of the reality. People has to accept not to be an exception, and this is a very, very, very hard work to do. And I hope we have the youngest will have the volunteer to continue and to fight for this.
Okay, thank you very much, Leni. For the question, as we say that at start, we will have a small question session after the two next presentation. But you can already put your question on the chat if you want. So in your presentation, Claire and Eleni, it was clear that there is a big effort to convince people, public entities, but also individuals, that it is worth to use natural material, and natural and local materials, but that there is still a lot of work to do concerning awareness, and especially speaking about people in more difficult economical situation. That was our target in the HELP project. So the question is how to help also this category of people to use natural, to have access to natural material when they are renovating or building their house, and how to access them and try to make them change their way of seeing things. And this leads us to the second theme of our meeting, which is more oriented about how to aware people on these materials and how to get in touch with them. So we will have two presentations on this issue. And the first one will be, it's a project presented by Efi Mavru. Efi is working in the training department of the CRES, which is a Center for Renewable Energy and Saving, a public organism in Greece. And she will present a project which is related to how to try to get in touch with this vulnerable public and help them in their choice, to make them choice more ecological. So Efi, if you want to
yes, hello.
take the floor.
Screen here. Thank you for you can hear me? Everything is okay? Yes, okay.
Yeah, it's okay, and we can see your screen.
Yes, you can just put yeah, like this, perfect.
So thank you for the invitation. It's a very interesting project, the one that you have, and especially because it's hands-on. I mean, you actually go to people's houses and public houses and have a proven, actual real proof of what it can be done. The TRES project is about training for energy consumers empowerment. It's a bit one step before the actual hands-on, because it consists a lot of training and awareness and information. Just a few data. It's 5 partners in Europe from Spain, Romania, Bulgaria, Slovenia, and Greece. Another project is in the middle, so we are going to have more results later on. Why this project started? Because it's a trend to go towards an energy, a more clean energy transition in Europe. So we need a more energy efficient, more energy efficiency in Europe. But on the same, in the same time, we need to tackle energy poverty. So it's clean energy for all, the target of the European Union. And this is a very present issue, because according to the Energy Poverty Observatory, more than 50 million households in Europe are on energy poverty. On the same time that most people don't even know what exactly energy poverty is. There is not even a common definition about this. So here comes the project TRES to help towards this target, to tackle energy poverty. The actual idea is to involve social agents and public authorities, since they will be there even after the end of the project. And we want to use them as in the middle agent to keep the knowledge to the people. So we are creating a training program for them and providing them the tools to detect the energy poverty cases in the population. And then the actual target is to change the energy consumers' behavior to increase the energy efficiency of their houses, and to have at the end less money spent on energy. This will be done by Creative at the end of the project. A MOOC, a massive open online class for social, energy and public authorities can access even after the end of the project. The beneficiaries are social agents, NGOs, municipality, energy agencies, and of course at the end consumers that we hope that they will see reduction on the energy bill. So how we are going to do this? This is the challenge. First of all, we need to make a research to detect the consumers and trainers' needs in order to develop a strategy for the of how we can tackle the problem. First, we came in touch with the social agents and then with the final beneficiaries. In Greece, we have social workers from municipalities and organizations that are in contact with vulnerable people. Then we did a research through questions or interviews to understand the energy situation and the barriers that they face in order to tackle energy poverty. And we developed an engagement strategy. We're going to talk a bit more about this because I think it concerns, it includes as a difficult issue how to change behavior and habits. Energy behavior is either about having equipment, choosing equipments, or habits of behavior. The first one is about what we choose to buy, for example, a new appliance or a light lamp, the simple things, or for behavior like always turning off the lights when leaving a room. So what we need in order to change a behavior if we see that it doesn't work anymore for our benefit. First of all, we have to have the motivation, and this is to have the awareness and the knowledge, for example, on why we need to change this behavior. Sometimes we need also a social support and self-efficacy. Then we have to be able to change this behavior. So these are the enabling factors. For example, to have the financial, organization, technical resources that we can, for example, change something in the house or even our own behavior. And perhaps there is some training needed as to enable all of this. And finally, in order to the other target and challenge as well is to have this behavior to be permanent. This usually requires the reformers. For example, here it could be the opinions of experts, professionals, authorities, and clients as sorry, what's going on? Okay. So these are again the factors that influence behavior, the motivation. So we must be in order to achieve this, we must be aware of the energy consumption of the people that we are going to reach. To pay due attention to it and know the consequences, so that in that way they can be motivated to use the available information and tools to control their energy consumption. So this is one key point, how we can control our energy consumptions, because sometimes we feel that we cannot. We just, everything we do is a habit, is a norm, then there is no change, which is not always the case, as we have seen from other projects as well. Then, concerning the enable factors, this is more legislative, sometimes resources, since we need subsides or availability of products in store and specific advice. For example, I guess we all remember that when the efficiency lamps were first in the market. It was more expensive, it was more difficult to find. Now we can find it almost everywhere. So this is an enabling factor to be able to find the mean that will enable our solution easily. And the reinforcing factors is for this case is to be able to see the negative or positive consequence of the behavior. For example, in this case, the target is lower energy bills. So this was more or less our strategy as it has been developed after the questionnaires and the survey. We did the planning of the next steps, and afterwards there will be the evaluation. The planning, it has 3 steps. First of all, approach the problem and with specific specifications of challenges and objectives. What should be changed, how, when, and to what extent. This concerns the energy consumption habits, I remind you. Then we'll do the analysis of the determinants. For example, what are the factors that underlie the problem, and definition of the target audience, who is involved in this. Then will be the design of the action and the evaluation at the end. The action is a development of training program, which consists in behavioral change as the first section. In the second section, awareness raising and education actions, then engagement and empowerment of social agents, because again, this is a 2-3 years project, but we need the knowledge to be available there even after the project ends. So social agents is one a solid way to remain the knowledge and use the tools even after the end of the project. Then we will develop the online course in the MOOC, and it will be translated to all the partners. Here are some, again, details about the MOOC, but I will not stay in that more. And the target again is that the dissemination of the project and the outputs will be spread to all these entities and groups, NGOs, social services, municipalities, and regional authorities. Again, they're quite important because usually people go there as when they need some help or support. Other social agents, national organizations, research centers, energy consumers, vocation and training centers in the social sector, and other authorities. You can stay updated on the project through the LinkedIn site or through the site of the project, which I could show you a bit. You can see it's Trace EU, and you can see the targets, the objectives here. You can stay updated about the project's the things that were going to be done. So this is more or less the Trace project and how it's going to continue to work. So the idea is that we get in touch with the vulnerable people through the social agents that they reach when they are in need of something. So we try to keep them informed, the social agents, municipalities, NGOs, or all the people that vulnerable people can go to ask for help. So we use them as the mean in order to reach actually the people in need and help them with ideas and solutions of tackle energy poverty after having researched and spotted their needs. In the past, we have also had another project concerning energy poverty and the energy ambassadors. And I just want to show you that there was actually the client interviews. So we see here some people that actually had problems, and they took benefit of the project since they actually were listened to the advice of the energy ambassadors, let's say to the social workers that were informed about their situation. So I think it's since they had trust in the social worker, it helped them benefit from the advice that the social worker was able to give them. That is for me. Thank you for.
Okay, thank you, Effie. Here we have touched one of the objective of the HELP project. For those who arrived, who missed the start of this meeting, the HELPS project, the framework in which we are meeting now, one of the first objective was to help vulnerable people to restore their house and to improve the energy efficiency of their house through renovation. So here we find a way through social workers and public authorities having contact with these people to find a way to aware them of the various possibility to improve their situation with ecological way. And now we will listen to another way of public awareness and of transfer of know-how. And we are going to Croatia in the island of Brač, and with Daniel Santic and Lucia Puljak, which are from the organization, an association, Udruga Brač, sorry.
Bravo. Bravo, Isabel.
And okay, we are promoting the local heritage and the huge heritage in stone building. So Daniel, if you want to take the floor.
Okay, thank you, and greetings from the beautiful island of Brač. Well, first, I'd like to share my screen, if it's possible. Can you see my screen now? Is everything
Yeah,
okay?
it's okay.
Okay, great. So first, I'd like to introduce you with the basic term of this presentation, because I'm not sure if everyone knows what this word, lime kiln, is. In our language, it's called japjenica, and basically it's a lime oven, specific dry stone construction made of limestone, which we here in Brač have a lot of it. And after burning the limestone in a very long process, you get the lime. So these ovens for lime kilns, many residents here of our island have heard something about it, but only just a few have really seen it. This is how it looks. And you can't really see it right now because of the simple reason: if this construction fulfilled its purpose, the stone from which it was built, well, it's burned, it's gone, and it's turned into a lime. So the lime kiln basically disintegrated. That means that if the lime kiln was properly made, it has to disappear. It's sentenced to disappearing. And that's the reason why it exists dominantly in oral tradition or imagination of today's residents, and not really in a physical form. So why this lime is important for our island? It was through the history very important in development of islands' way of living, for agriculture, for architecture, and this production of lime in this form, it dates back all the way to the Roman period. It's that old. And it was an important economic activity because this lime was used, as I said, for, as you can see from the picture, coating roofs, painting walls, interior and exterior, for collecting water, for building or bonding material, also in agriculture and so on. So this material, the lime, is still, of course, being used today, but it's not produced anymore in this traditional way. And instead of these old lime kilns, today we have lime factories. So because of all this, a group of enthusiasts from our island, starting with this one association, decided to start the project of constructing a traditional lime kiln. And this construction process would be, the idea was to use it as a series of educational workshops for all interested. Well, it was easy to say, but not easy to do, because building a traditional lime kiln with no drafts and almost no tools, it's very hard and very sophisticated knowledge. So it's not surprising that there aren't really any more master builders who know how to do it. And we found one, and our main master in our project was an 83 years old man. Here's the guy. He gained his skill by assisting his father a long time ago. And then later he continued as a self-employed builder from his early youth, and it was until 1970s when the last lime kilns were made here. So involving in this project, it was really emotional for this old man, and he passed his strong emotions and his passion to all the volunteers that were included. And the volunteers, well, it was a lot of them, and there were different age, and these were the members of our island associations, school students, young people from abroad, from different countries, even one from Malaysia, and of course, interested residents of our island. So I will just briefly show you the process, how it's done, this construction. First, it's digging the hole in the ground, and it has to be very large. And then putting and coating this hole with large stones, of course, a limestone. After a while, you have to make some holes which will let the air in when you burn this construction. And then when you reach the ground level, you make also a small hole, which later will be the doors of lime kiln. And then starts the process of putting the stone mass, covering with the large stone pieces, stone slabs, which makes something called garota, which basically is the stone mass that will burn later and become a lime. So plenty of these stones, bigger and smaller, is piled up and fulfilling this grata. But of course, it's not that simple. So you have to make some insulation for burning, and it's called barbacan, and it's made also of stone and some earth or soil. So you put this isolation made of thin stone slabs and then filling the soil in it. And after this long specific process, well, it almost comes to an end, and you put a huge stone on the roof.
So, sorry, Daniel, there is, I don't know if I'm the only one, but there is an issue with your sound.
Can you hear me now?
It's okay for me.
So maybe I'm the only one then. No one hear like a weird noise as well, or? Okay, apparently it's only me. Sorry,
Okay.
It should be fine. I have something in my, I don't know, it's happening. Sorry.
Okay, so we almost came to an end of this burning building process, putting with this big piece of stone on the roof. This big piece of stone will show us when the lime kiln is really burned at the end. So the next step would be to burn it, and it lasts for a long time. It's 10 to 15 days. Constantly keeping the fire, which is very hard, very demanding process. Of course, the one that we made, we didn't want to burn it. It was too important for us, so we kept it, well, as a monument to this ancient skill. The point is that this story of lime kiln, it's not just the story, of course, about this final product, the lime. And here also the journey is more important than the destination itself. Building this construction is a complex craft, and really it testifies about specific knowledge of people and also about the skill of adapting to the conditions in which we live in. And very important, the necessity of collectiveness, of being together in order to make something or to do any business successfully. So these components, they were extremely important then in the old times, but they are still important today, of course, if we want to survive and develop in a sustainable way. While building this lime kiln in the traditional way, all the volunteers, they immersed themselves in the traditional way of life also. And they realized that traditional society was depending on being together and being interconnected in the community, that no individual could survive alone on its own without the help of others. And our youngest, the school, they realized that the only way to get the job done properly is to make everything well organized and that everyone does his part of the job responsibly. So this, we can say that this whole construction process had a great educational effect. The whole process was documented, and finally it was printed in a trilingual book. It's a book in Croatian, also on a dialect from our island, so it's 4 languages, English and French. And in the subtitle of this book, we put the most important conclusion. It's the art of survival is based on being together in community. Here there is a link where you can see how this publication, this book really looks. And we know, of course, that the lime will not be produced in this traditional old school way in the future, because the process, as we saw it, is very hard and very demanding. But now we have the evidence in the picture and in the words how it used to be done once. So maybe as a conclusion, and to make it in accordance with the title of this presentation, we can say that the transfer of interest and knowledge between generations, well, it's not an easy task, especially when we know that younger generations often do not see the benefits of a particular activity at first glance. But we can put these activities in a broader context, and we can show that ancient crafts uses a sustainable approach that is still necessary for us today if we want to survive. And most importantly, I think, is that we can testify about all skills competently and of course with passion and with love. And no generation should be immune for this kind of approach. So basically, that's it.
Okay, thank you very much, Daniel. So this collaborative aspect and this community aspect we will find it very strong in the next part, or in the second part of this meeting with the ELS project. But before going there, we will have some time for discussion, and afterward a little break. So Katerina, if you have seen some question on the chat before leaving,
yes.
people asking with the micro.
Okay, so two first questions for Daniel. They are addressed to Daniel. People say the project was really interesting and ask for some photos or plans if you can send.
Well, as I said, there is a publication, there is a book with some drafts of how to make it. So you saw the link, I think, and it's public. It's on the website of the school that I'm working in. So you can find it. If this link will be available, you can also find it. And
yeah, Lucy made the link in the chat if some people want to copy it.
So yeah, you can find it there, and maybe contact me or Lucia for some explanations, or I don't know.
And another question for you: how much of kilograms of lime would you get out of this lime kiln?
It depends on how large, how big it is, but I think it was between 4 and 10 or even 15 tons of lime was made in one lime kiln.
Okay, and one more question, this time for Claire. How many, in your opinion, were really interested to be involved in production of local material in Gavdos? And did you had someone interested to stay and work for that cause?
Yes, so I would say that in the whole workshop, people that will use the recipe in Gavdos, I would say 10 people, but of course it's always difficult, but like, yeah, from the workshop we had like, more or less, I had 10 mails of people asking me for more details in recipes, which is good. And to stay and work for that cause, I don't know what it means exactly for that cause, but there we have the ceramist that made the presentation for the localization of salt that she's always very interested to this subject. And actually, we hope to do more there. And it's very interested the presentation of the Croatian team, because we also find an old lime kiln in Gavdos. And one of our wish is to do kind of like what you did. Amazing job, by the way. So yes, there is many things to do, yeah, still, but fortunately we have people interested in the island.
So Daniel, Lucia, be ready to go to Gavdos to transfer your know-how.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a problem to go there, but as you saw from our presentation, the masters that really know how to make it, well, we are not the ones. So,
Yeah.
and this one was 83 years old 3 years ago, so now he's 86. Well, maybe we can persuade him, I don't know. We'll try.
Thank you.
So these were the questions for now, but I don't know if we have time for other people just to thumb up and ask their question now, or
yeah, of course, and through the microphone you can
you can make your question now if you have thought of something, or if you think something during the rest of the event, you will be given time at the end of the event to make new questions.
There will be another time for question. Someone want to ask the question and open the microphone? I have myself two questions. One is for Effie. I have Effie Mavru. She had a problem with the screen, so if she can answer, you will not see her anymore. She changed the laptop from to PC. And my question was, do you think that what you are doing, contacting people, going through social workers in the house of vulnerable people, do you think that it could be also possible to do the same work with them, but for renovation of their house?
Yes, I think I do. There are some actually in the information part. Can you hear me in the first place?
Yeah.
Nice. There are some actions that are concerning renovation as well, since it's a very important part, especially for some people that are actually living in very, very poor circumstances. For example, in the previous project, the Energy Ambassadors, there were some social workers that were saying that the people, for example, were living in houses with broken windows or so. So what can we say to them about energy poverty if they don't have money to just repair a window? So it's very delicate, the issue, because we are trying to reinforce changes for behaviors, and sometimes the problem is beyond that, because it's very practical, and there is a lack of resources like financial or these kind of issues, which the only thing that can be done is, since the knowledge is transferred to the authority, let's say, or the social worker, perhaps then they can inform them if they know of other tools. For example, now the Saving for Home project or some other resources that can be found in order to help them to make renovations in the house, or projects like this. So the information, I think, is important, because then the social agent can choose the solution. Do you see what I mean? Because sometimes people cannot know the answer to the problems, but they know sometimes where to refer. So the social workers or other or the municipalities or other agencies, sometimes they receive the problem and they have to reach for the answer. So they have to be informed about the tools that can help for this solution. Renovation is, of course, one of the most important parts to reach to energy zero buildings. That it's one of the new targets to have, if possible, buildings that are actually require less and less and less the less energy possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Do we have other question, Katerina? From no?
Till now, no.
Thank you.
Okay. Other question? So I have another question for Claire. Claire, it was not clear for me. Did you the test that you made? You say at the end of your presentation that you also tried on modern building because you realized that the main of the building built in the island was not in stones or in natural material, but it was with modern materials. So did the test that you made was convincing? And did you, I mean, do you have a success that could be reproduced in another project?
Yes. So the idea of this, first of all, was to say, okay, so for the buildings that are already built in cement, at least to have a last layer that is not destroying totally the landscape of the villages, which is like not the wonderful solution that we would, but it's like a compromise. So yes, we apply a last layer of lime plaster, first to paint with lime paintings, which is important, very important. You don't paint on lime pencil on cement plaster. The result is not good at all. So yes, the results were good actually, but we try to communicate more, of course, on the restoration of the traditional houses. But yeah, I think we had good results also with this. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Any other question?
Yes, a new question for Eleni. Is there a hope for building a school for craftsmen? The two manuals for the dry stone technique, are they published?
So I begin with the second. Yes, we have published the two manuals. We use them to the administration for the technicians that prepare the projects more or less, and some of the old builders also are very interested to have them because they see the knowledge in a book. It's very important for them. And now there is an effort with the School of Architecture of the University of Ioannina in collaboration with the municipality of Konica, because in Konica the Konica area is an area that used to produce builders. The groups of builders traditionally come from Konica, so north of our Zagori area, or from Dzumerka, the south of Ioannina area. And in Konica there is a wish since some years to open a school for this art of construction with stones. And now, since last year, some teachers from the university for the Department of Architecture began to work with the local municipality and the region, and to prepare the contents of this of this school. I hope that, and also with the support of the Ministry of Culture, that is now very interested about this art of building, because we participate as a country, with the Ministry of Culture, to this effort to be listed, to have the art of dry stone construction in the intangible heritage of UNESCO. We hope very soon to see this school of builders in Konica.
That's very good news.
Yes, yes.
Eh?
It's hard. It's a hard work, but there is hope. Yes.
There's another question. I think it's addressed to Effie. Tell me if I'm wrong. Is it easy to run this project on a camp for refugees? And the example is for Samos.
This is a very interesting question. The point is how to make energy efficiency choices for our house. Now, on the camp, it will be very interesting to spot the circumstances that people are living in, and try to provide them with choices, alternatives, in order to be more energy efficient. In general, the refugees can be a very interesting target, since this common goal, let's say, can make them feel part of the society that they are going to integrate. For example, in the previous project that I mentioned, Energy Ambassadors, there was a partner in Sweden that actually approached the refugees from there, and tried to integrate them to the concept of energy saving, and they gave them sponges, you know, like the things that we use to clean the table and stuff like that, where they were the energy saving habits printed there with sketches, because some people of them, they couldn't actually understand Swedish. They were learning. They're most of them from Muslim countries, and they were just trying to learn. So with this project, it was a step to engage them more in the actual life that they were starting there. So in order to embrace the refugees, we first should check the needs that they have concerning energy, and then of course we can train the people that they're getting in touch with, and actually inform them how to what they can change and what they need to change. It's very interesting, the refugees part. I don't know the details of how it's the situation in Samos. I have been only to the camp in Piraeus it was some years ago. But it would be very interesting, this. Of course, this project that has online application, the use of MOOC and online tools, it can be used from anyone that has a phone with internet connection.
Okay.
Effie, there's another question for Effie.
Do
we have time?
Yeah.
It's at the same spirit. It was at the same spirit.
Okay, okay. Just okay. So the last one, because we are quite late in our program.
Do you already have results from intervention made by vulnerable groups at their houses?
No, not at this project, because.
Oh, Effie, we lost you. Okay. Did you listen? Did you listen to the answer? Because I get. No, nobody. Effie?
I think she left.
Ah, okay.
She began to say not until now,
So
and
yes,
she
Like now,
continued.
better? Yes, yes.
so I think we can, yeah,
Yeah.
she's back. Okay.
Sorry. So from this project, no, but I can say some results from the previous project that people actually saw some difference because we gave them questionnaires from before and after, and there were some results. Of course, we also spotted the most popular interventions that they chose to do in their own houses. That could be from changing the lamps to more efficient one or closing the lights when they go off the room and stuff like that. So if from previous projects, this methodology actually works. We see some energy saving happening.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Effie. So now I propose you 10-minute breaks. Welcome back. Everybody is here again. Yes, we have 2 persons more. That's nice. So I will now give the floor to Florian Guillotte from the Les Sept Vents, who is the lead partner of the European project ELPS, and we will start for the second part of this meeting. Florian?
Hello, hi. So yes, I'm working at Les Sept Vents, and I've been coordinator from ELPS project for 3 years now. We are getting to the end of the project. Here on the screen I'm sharing, you have a glimpse of the website of ELPS. And just to introduce the next speakers, the aim of ELPS was first to disseminate and adapt a socially innovative scheme from France called Enerter. So I'm with Louise today that will first present Enerter, how it works, and the concept behind the scheme. Then Isabelle will speak about the adaptation of Enerter in Greece. And then Arturo will explain us how his experimentations in Spain works. Then we'll have a small video about a Greek association promoting traditional building techniques. And then a small break for questions and answers. Then don't hesitate to fill in the chat with your questions, and we'll read them and try to answer to them after these 3 presentations. And lastly, I conclude with European network that we have created with this Erasmus Plus project, and we'll focus on the outputs of ELPS project again. So that's it for me. Louise, okay. Are you ready? I will show your presentation.
Okay, so good morning, everybody. I am Louise Aubert, and well, I represent Enerter, which is an association different from Les Sept Vents. So what is Enerter? Enerter is a local and modest association whose goal is to help residents, inhabitants, to renovate their houses in a sustainable way on a very restricted area. So as we are in an international exchange, I will show you exactly where we are. Where can I just here? Like this. Okay, so here is a map, just you to know where we are, and so you can understand that our area of intervention is quite restricted. You know where is France, but here is exactly, more exactly, Normandy. And in Normandy, you have this peninsula, you have this blue bubble. So even this blue bubble actually is too big. We don't act as on a so big area. So just you to understand that this is very very local. And as Florian said, Enerter is the model, the association that was used as a model for the HELPS project. Okay, so you can understand where we come from. I will tell you just a little bit about the origins of this association and this system that we invented. The system Enerter was born in 2011, and then it became an association in 2012, so very quickly. It comes actually from a structure that already exists, which is called the Regional Nature Park of Cotentin and Bessin Marshes. So this is a specific territory. This is between an association and a public institution. It's a little bit like a local authority. So it's a mix of different villages which are together that makes this regional natural park. All the villages that are in this park, they share some characteristic, some geographical, some social, and some cultural characteristic. So there is something common in terms of culture, in terms of landscape, and also in terms of built heritage, which is what really interests us. As you can see on this picture, the landscape is very, so these are marshes. So one of the specificity is that this is very humid. As you can see, we have like fields that are full of water for some months in the year. And we have a map that can show you that a lot of places on the territory become very humid at certain time of the year. And also the specificity in terms of heritage, built heritage, is earthen houses. We have a lot of earthen houses, stone and earth houses, which are traditional. These houses are still used as houses today. So people live in these houses. They have suffered from some damages during the Second World War, for example, and sometimes it has been renovated in a strange way and with not adapted techniques. But people still use it as houses today. So if I come back to the Regional Nature Park, they have several missions, and Enerter was born in one of the service. So they have a service of economy, of ecological transition, and others. And Enerter was born in the service of transition, development, and living environments. You have also to know that there is in France a general context which is very favorable to the renovation. So there is a general context of support to renovation. So I mean, especially in terms of subsidies, financial aids, the people, the inhabitants who wish to renovate their houses, especially about energy, they can have some financial aid from the state or from different local authority at different levels. For example, from the region. So there are a lot of different helps. So just you to understand that Enerter was born in a general favorable context at local and national level. As we are talking with other people from other countries, I know that the context can be quite different. Okay. So now I will explain you what is the Enerter model. Thanks to the HELPS project, we could formalize it in this way, 3SR model. So this is shared and supported self-renovation of housing with social, ecological, and heritage value. This is quite long. So this is what NRTER used to do, and this is the model that we use for helps to try to replicate it or to adapt it in other contexts. So what does it mean exactly? Self-renovation. Renovation, so the goal of the renovation is to improve the housing condition of the people. The inhabitants are the center of the system. Self, because the inhabitant, who is the owner or the occupier of the place, will take part to the renovation process. Why is it supported? Because there is always building professionals who are here to support the works and to give advice to the inhabitants. Shared, why is it shared? Because during the work site, some volunteers come because they are interested for some different reasons, and they come to help the inhabitants to do the work site all together. So the inhabitant can improve his living condition. We specified that this is a renovation of housing because this is what we do here at local level at NRTER. We just intervene on houses. And we specified also that there was social and ecological and heritage value. Why social? Because we go in majority the people's house of people who show some need or some precarity criteria. So they have low income. It can be quite a lot of different criteria. It is ecological. Well, there is a value, ecological and heritage value, because the idea is also to respect heritage environments. When people want to renovate their homes, their houses, either it is a traditional building or not, they will not always think of the materials, the specific materials to use and the specific techniques to use, so not to damage the houses. And also we try to raise awareness on the eco materials and local materials, with the idea to use products that come from as close as possible. So why do we use this 3SR system? What is the goal of it? So the first goal is to improve the living condition of the inhabitants. So they are in the center of the system. So what will be what is the impact for them? First of all, the renovation should cost a bit less because there are volunteers who want to participate. So it will allow to short a little bit the time of the building professional. We create new social links on the work sites because there are people who meet for the first time. It can be neighbors or others, people from very different places and horizons. There is a gain in self-esteem and also some kind of empowerment for the inhabitants because they really take part in the process. So whatever their profile, they will feel useful because they will be useful anyway during the work site. We use healthy materials, which of course has a benefit impact for the residents in his home. We improve the comfort in the home, so it means that all the work sites that we will support will always have to improve the comfort in terms of specifically like humidity, because I told you before that in our territory there are some problems of humidity, and this is something that we can find very that is very common. So a way to improve comfort, for example, is to try to find a good balance for this humidity in the house. Also, the idea is to make the inhabitants capable to to do again the techniques that they learned during the worksite. So it is also a kind of empowerment. They learn new technical knowledge of their home, and later they can be actor of their own renovation by themselves. And of course, it brings a positive and welcoming image of the home if you can finally reach the end of your renovation, or at least to make your home welcoming. So this is the impact on the residents, but also the 3SR system has other impacts, not only on the residents. So as we say, there is a personal development and knowledge. So yes, for the residents, but also for the volunteers. A lot of volunteers who come are people, for example, in insertion, they are trying to find a job. They are trying to find new contacts. So this is not only for residents, but also for volunteers. And also they learn new techniques that they can use in their own homes. Development of social cohesion through solidarity practices. So this is quite general on the territory. The idea is to favor this kind of process on the territory, on the local territory. Same way for the local economy, because the idea is to ask local craftsperson to act on the work sites. So the idea is to develop the network with the different association, craftspersons, and also suppliers of materials on the territory. We have the chance here, we are very lucky to have some materials that we can buy directly on the territory, like earth materials. So the idea is to try to benefit the local economy first. There is, of course, the positive environmental impact with the use of local and ecological materials that we will favor always, and the preservation and enhancement of construction heritage, including earthen materials. So as I said, we have a specific built earthen heritage, and that has been already renovated in some bad way during the last decades, and the idea is to try to improve it. Okay, so just to give you, let's say, a concrete example, I took the example of Françoise, which is someone that we have supported or accompany, if we want to say in French, but in English it's not great, we say support, but accompany is actually the word that we say in French. So we supported Françoise, we met her in 2017. So just basically, this is the profile of one inhabitant or resident that we can help. For example, Françoise is a single person, so she lives alone in her house. She has a very modest income. She has some health problems, so she began renovation of her homes several years before, but she couldn't end it because, well, she was she gave up a little bit, also because of her health problems, but not only. She was very interested in the 3SR process. She really wanted to share and to learn. So so this is a typical profile of person that we can follow. About her house, so she lives in a traditional earthen house. You have the picture here, but it has not been renovated since she lives in. There are some problems in the house, like cracks, and she feels a lot of humidity and cold, especially during winter. And as I said, the renovation project was in standby. So she was living in a condition which were not very, very great. Yeah. Okay, so as for every resident or beneficiary, we call them beneficiary, the resident that we support, there are two phases. First, there is what we call the socio-technical support, and then there is the collaborative building site, which will be the more visible part. So the first part, which is the socio-technical support, I will just explain you quite quickly what it means. So there are a lot of exchanges between the association and the residents. So there is always a diagnosis during first visit at home. There are always talks about the possibility for the residents to be part of the 3SR process. So what she wants first, and what she will be able to do to act really in the renovation process. There is also a global view of the building that is given to her because, as I said before, there is a general context to support renovation in France, but you have a lot of different aids in some places, and sometimes people don't know exactly, they know they can have some help, but they don't know where to get this help, and they don't know how to have a general view of what they need really at home. So so this first phase is here to think of this renovation, of what the people will need exactly and what they can get for this. So what I mean what they can get for this, I mean also about the financial assistance. So as I said, there are some financial assistance possible in France. Also during this first phase, we try to see with the residents if the 3SR, if the collaborative building site will be really consistent in view of what needs to be done. There can be a lot of different works to do before doing a collaborative building site. For example, maybe there are very heavy works to do before to try to, for example, on the roof or something where the volunteers cannot act. We also during this first phase, we raise the awareness on the materials and the techniques that we can use in this home, and why, and we try to explain why we advise these or these materials, and what will be the benefit impact, the good impact for the beneficiary, and the good impact also for the territory. And to finish with the first phase, if the resident agrees, if it's okay, if it's consistent to do some collaborative building sites, and if we can go on with the renovation project, a craftsperson, which can be internal or external of the association, can make a kind of cost estimate and duration estimate of what could be done with volunteers. So this is the first part, which can be quite long, depends on the people that we support. It can be during several years or just several months. It's very, very changing. So then, if it's okay to organize a collaborative building site, there is lots of things to prepare first, like mobilizing volunteers, like really preparing the work site with the resident, with the inhabitants, to be sure that everything will be ready for the work site, especially in terms of hosting volunteers. Like, for example, they can be question of accommodation, meals, transportation. So this is very it can be a long process to organize. Also, there are all the tools, equipments, and materials that we provide, or I mean that we bring on the work site before. So everything has to be thought before. So how is the work site? On the work site, the idea is that the volunteers and the residents learn new techniques. It means that the building professional that is here is able to transfer his knowledge and techniques. to the people who are here and who are not professional. All volunteers who are here are not professional, either the residents. There is also a time exchange, kind of accountancy of time exchange between the different beneficiaries. It means that one beneficiary that will have 1 week of work site at home will have to spend at least 1 week of work sites in the home of another beneficiary. So there is always this time exchange system. So the resident can be useful for him and also for the others. It's like a exchange system. And just to finish with the collaborative building site, as we work with the unprofessional public, and we have to pay attention specifically on the safety, which is a big question. And also something very important, of course, is the conviviality, because most of people are here to help and to share, and it's very important to have conviviality times between people. Okay, so for example, for the case of Françoise, the year after, in 2018, we have done one collaborative building site. So that was in October. It lasted 5 days. There were different volunteers every day. It was not always the same volunteers. This is how we work. So it represented at the end 23 person days. So on 5 days. So the works that have been done are interior coatings. So we have some pictures here, and also exterior coatings and joints. And we could do that just during 5 days. So as you can see, it's something quite short. We try to do something quite short in order to be able to intervene in different houses also. And you understand also that this is just a part of the renovation. A lot of people who come to us, they are in a big renovation process, a global renovation process of their homes. We can help them to think of the whole renovation, but about the work site, about the collaborative building site, we are able just to organize 1 or 2 weeks of building site and not more. So it will be something additional, but of course it will not make everything. Okay, I think I could make it in 10 minutes. So I hope it was clear.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Louise, for this clear and illustrated presentations. I will now ask Isabel to take the control of the screen and tell us about what happened in Greece when adapting NRTR.
Okay, I was just trying to unmute my microphone. It's okay, you can see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so now in Greece, when we start this project, we had this system of shared and supporting self-renovation in front of us. It was really engaging. And it seems to be, we were enthusiastic because it seemed to be to respond to a real need here in Greece, because it could be an answer to socio-economic problems. There is a high percentage of people at risk of poverty here in Greece. It's around 32%, I think. There is also a high number of people who are homeowners. So this means that the system could be easily developed directly to the owner. And because of the crisis, the economic crisis, there is a low investment in housing renovation, which means that the system could help people to renovate and with ecological way their house. And it was also, the system of NRTR was also an answer to preserve building heritage in Greece, because there are not always the money, sorry, it goes on its own, and not always enough money to preserve the heritage, and there is also a lack of professional skills in traditional techniques, as we already mentioned. But when we start to develop the strategy to transfer this NATER system, we realized that we had some obstacle to confront. The first one is the lack of interest of a lot of people here in eco-building generally, and in natural material. It's still seen as something not really efficient. Or something old-fashioned, and people prefer generally to use modern material. The other obstacle was that Louise mentioned several support, financial support for the government, but in Greece there is not enough financial support for housing renovation. Another obstacle is that the people living in building heritage, in buildings, in houses built with the traditional way, most of the time they are mostly rich people. Like in this photo, you can see a nice village in stones. Very often people with low budget, with the social and economical difficulty, they are living in modern house. Then the other difficulty was the legal one, because also people living in difficulty, they're usually not so keen in entering the process of permit and authorization, etc. They prefer to do the needed work on his own with a mason. And finally, the other problem that we were confronted to is the status of volunteers, because in these specific topics of construction in this sector, there is a risk that volunteer would be considered as disguised illegal work. So what we decide here at the Mediterranean Center of Environment, we thought that it could be a good idea to transfer this system of NATER, of shared and supported eco-renovation work site, but to orient it to collective building, which could be private or public building. So from private house to collective building. So when we say collective building, we are thinking of building like cultural centers, schools, social center, building that is used by the people of one village, etc. And we propose light work done through this work site, like work of maintenance, like plastering or insulation, or small-scale monthly works like outdoor kitchen, as you can see on the photo. I will show you this example. Or it could be also decorative work just to improve the environment for people using this common building. So then the volunteer here are not so much the owner of the building, not the sorry, but they can be trainees, which means people taking part to this because they are professional of building and they are interested of improving their theoretical and practical knowledge by participating to this specific workshop, using learning about how to use natural material. And there are people that are completely volunteer just because they are interested in this kind of techniques, or because they want to take part to a collective and participatory local project. So to give you an example of what we have done, one was in Crete, in Chania, and we are here with us two persons who were responsible of the organization. It was Claire that you already here this morning, and also Olga Vazdari, which is here with us. And the idea was it was in a public center for children in Chania, in Crete. And as you can see, it was really needed to renovate the courtyard to welcome the children here. So the work has been supported by the municipality, here the lady, which was a great support. And finally, in our approach of doing work for common building, for collective building, helps us first to promote, to give a visibility of the possibility of using natural material, because it's like a showcase at the end. Then it was an opportunity to gather a lot of various people. We had students in architecture, professional mason who want to learn something else, people who are just their personal interest in that, to do it in their home after a while. People who try to find a way for reinsertion with economical difficulties, all kind of people. And so it has also this cohesion part of the project, which is really interesting. And it's also a kind of self renovation, but here it's not individual on an individual level. It's on a collective level where the collective building. So how the system is working. Is it okay? Because I have a message that my connection is not stable. It's okay?
Yeah, it's you just get for just 10 seconds. Now it's good again.
Okay. Okay, so the system is working like that. The beneficiary, so the municipality, the local cultural organization, anyhow, has to provide the material, the construction material, with the support of our organization, because it's not always easy to find. They have to provide the meals for the volunteers. They have also to prepare the work. And they are in charge of the legal aspect, so it makes the thing more easy than for private house. Then, as an operator, our organization is building the team, is gathering the volunteers, trying to have a diverse team, representative team, presenting diverse case of interest. We also provide the tools and the equipment, and of course the person who will be the trainers and the professional who will organize, decide about with the organization, with the beneficiary. They will decide what kind of work has to be done, and they will organize all the whole work site, as well as transferring the know-how to the volunteer. So just another example, it was also in Crete, in the village of Tsivara. And we have here with us some of the participants to this work site, which is nice. It was this project was in the place where the cultural association is developing its activity, some concerts, some festival, etc. And we were asked to make outdoor, or do you say it, kitchen with a oven built in earth. And here you can see that one local mason, he was preparing the place with stones. so that the volunteer could start their work. So there were a theoretical part, and then people developing the project under the coordination and the overview of the professional of Claire Wari. So we are preparing a small movie. You will be able to see a collection of interview, and it's really nice to see how the people have lived this experience on personal level, but because they have learned different skills and they have exchanged different know-how. But it was always a very interesting project experience also, as a sharing experience and the feeling that you contribute to the local community well-being. So this is a nice result. And it was already used, for example, for the Day of Traditional Bread Making, organized by the Cultural Association. So now at this stage, what do we have? We have been able, from the experience of Enater and through the experience of Spain, Italy, and here in Greece, we have developed this guide that is explaining a bit how to develop shared and supported self-renovation with social, ecological, and heritage values. So we have this methodology in our hands, and now we are open to organize other work sites. And if we have the possibility, for example, through project that the one that Effie present us, to do the same job for houses of people in needs, of course we can also open the scope of our work sites. And so it was a very short presentation. We are here to answer to your question after a while, but just to finish, I always like to show you two photos. One in 1950, which is in the village that Eleni must know, in the region of Epir, people sharing, taking part to the restoration of the church of the village. And now in 2020, we have again some local people and people coming from other part of the island, sharing their hands and sharing their doing together something good for the village and for the municipality, for the society. Voila, thank you very much.
Thank you, Isabel, for this showcase of the adaptation in Greece. Very interesting. Next, we'll see what happened in Spain. Arturo, are you ready to share your screen?
Yes, good morning. How are you, everybody? We are having a very good morning with very interesting projects and people. So I will focus on not only in the experimentation of the Tap Association for the HELPS project. I will mention only the barriers we found, and very similar to the other barriers you mentioned, all of you. We share the same problems, but we are optimistic, and we are happy that we will face this kind of barriers. So I will share my screen. Okay. One moment. Okay, this one. Can you see the presentation?
Yes, we do.
Okay. So this is. I will talk a little bit about the challenge of eco-participatory building sites. In Spain is the same in other places, but you know, the thing is that we are in the south of Spain. So I can show you these 6 pictures about some materials we have in here. TapTap Association is in Seville City. It's the capital of the Andalusian region in the south of Spain. So we have straw, with straw, you know, chestnut wood, also soil, earth. And here you can see the a traditional a vernacular house, a small house. It's a round earth house. Here a picture of a group of people in our health project experimentation. Here very close to the city of Seville, and it was a meeting for the coordination of and evaluation of the project with volunteers, the volunteers coordinator, the project coordinator, and so on. And here on the right, we can see scaffoldings and the indoor room of the houses where we manage the volunteering and the technical assessment training. So can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. It's very silent. Okay. So some of the common barriers we found. You mentioned the lack of professionals and knowledge about traditional and also modern eco-construction, because it's not only traditional construction and techniques and heritage or buildings is a reference for us, but also modern and contemporary eco-construction should be a reference. We have the availability of producers and suppliers of eco materials. It's very difficult to find producers and suppliers. Here in Andalusia, we only have mainly 2 suppliers of eco materials, but they provide the materials coming from the center of Europe, or even from the north of Spain or the north of Portugal. If we want to produce by our own, to have the self-production of eco-materials, we need to find the available technology to decrease the budget for this production, and also it's difficult to find. You know, also for the development of participatory building site, we need to invest a high amount of effort, time and money. So we have to discuss about how to find these resources. And also we have, as Isabel mentioned, the valorization of eco-building and bioconstruction. Also, earthen traditional buildings is not very good for what the population says, because of the damp presence in walls. You know, some people, they prefer hollow bricks or cement and concrete blocks, something like that, because now traditional materials are not very well known. And also, as Isabel mentioned, the coverage for assurance and protection for volunteers in building sites is something we have to face, to discuss. But the thing is that here the law in Spain, the legal status of volunteers is established, but some people and some institutions and public authorities, they don't have very clear the situation. No, and also in the south of Europe, like in Portugal, Italy, and Greece, the crisis and poverty is increasing quickly, and it doesn't help to the development of this kind of participatory building sites. So what we need people who believes in better life. We need people to trust in this kind of projects, this kind of participatory building sites, and good people, happy people, prepared people, trained people. So it's only to show you. So also we need people trust eco-materials and traditional construction, because this kind of techniques and materials, they have zero waste. You can see how modern materials like plastic, polystyrene, cement produce great amounts of waste. With eco-materials and traditional materials, we will have comfort, indoor comfort. We help to have in our lands, in our countryside and cities, biodiversity. We support the fertility of soils, and also we produce equality. Equality, talking about social and labor rights, and this is very important. No? So the other thing that we need eco-construction material. So to face this, we have to find producers and suppliers, all as Luis told about Enerter. We have to produce by our own this kind of materials. So it is not so easy, but can be done with current producers of modern, for example, to produce mud bricks. We can talk to a group of masons. We can manage it with volunteers. Also, we can talk to contractors or producers of modern, for example, hollow bricks. We can talk to them to produce this kind of materials. And also, as all of you mentioned, we need a construction professional. These pictures are about the training Enerter and Let's Advance they organized it last year in Athens for a training in the HELPS project. Here on the left, you can see the Baquenet. The place is a place in Normandy. It's a training center. And also here, you can see the mixer, the earth mixer, and some trainees learning how to apply and how to restore a COP Bosch wall. Also, what we need healthy, trained, coordinated, and protected people to participate. This is very important. Very important. It's as important as is in a conventional building site, because we need to be very secure that very sure that people involved in eco-participatory building sites, they have a good health, they have the knowledge, skills, and competences to participate. They have to be coordinated by people involved. For example, we called this person in the HELPS project the World Site Party team leader. Okay, and protected. Protected means that if an insurance company cannot cover you, cannot cover a possible accident or something like that, the organization, we have to have our own means or resources to protect people, and to, in case of accident, to protect the person who suffered the accident with medical care, with money, something like that. Because to be protected is a social right, and despite volunteers are not workers, they are people that are involved in our projects. So it's good to have eco-friendly meals for people during the experimentation, to have yoga time because it's good in the beginning of the day and at the end of the day. To have good accommodation if you provide accommodation for volunteers and for the staff involved in the project. Prevention risk training is very important to remind everybody and to train people about construction prevention risk. Okay, we may supply the medical care for people as well in coverage if possible, and training and expertise during the experimentation and prior to the experimentation, you know. So also what we need, possibly we need time, money and resources. Two, for the volunteer management, for the social support to beneficiaries who are living in a situation of precariousness. We need to provide technical support to find good masons, to find good trainers, to show the beneficiaries the different problems and damages the building has. The training support as well, and the financial and legal management. This part, this final part, is also very important because we have to manage the different obstacles about the legal situation and the financial methodology. And this is a picture also of the health project. We use this picture in the guide, as Isabel showed. And what we need is a good network, as we are having today. You know, we can see different projects with very good intentions, with different obstacles, shared obstacles to face, and we need to improve and enlarge our network. And sharing is very important, to share the same interest. It's very, very important. I want to focus in cooperation and consensus, and justice and equality and social support are very important topics, main topics. Finally, three pictures about three different projects and experimentations, eco-participatory building site we have in Spain, where some people of Tap Association were involved. The first one, this is a Rent Earth small building, something like a place, a reading point in a village in a region called Extremadura, a Spanish region, and it was an experimentation for 15 days, 20 trainees and local masons involved, public institution, the council also involved. We found the material, the soil, 7 kilometers from the building sites in a producer for road construction. Here in the center we have this was something we did. We help with the technical support for a different group or association to produce 50,000 mud bricks for a house. We provided the technical support for the soil identification, the admixtures, the aggregates, the molds, the coordination. And the third one on the right, this was a small building for the big bathroom and we use the waterland technique with this chest node wood covered with mud plaster, and I think this is all. For me, it's okay.
Thank you, Arthur. Okay, there's a microphone on. I think we are listening a voice. Can you please just shut your microphone?
Well, I think it was Arturo. He was touching his microphone, I think, when speaking or something like that.
Ah, all right.
Sorry.
Can I mention just, sorry Florian, can I mention that you have seen a lot of nice drawing during all the presentation, and these are also drawing in the guide, and these are drawing from Maria del Mar Camacho Muriel, and she was also taking part to the project ELPS, and I think it was to mention her.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, so Isabel, I think it's your turn again to show us a video about Buluki itinerant participatory workshops.
Yes, so Buluki, some representative of Buluki, which is a Greek organization, should have been with us today, but unfortunately they could not make it. So I'm trying to find it.
Thank you, Isabel. So yes, we'll see this afterwards.
Yeah.
So the next in the agenda is time for questions and answers. So we already have some on the chat. Katerina, do you want to give the word?
Yes, give me a second only. We have a list of questions for Louise. I don't know if we have the time for all of this, but I'll start anyway. So first question for Louise, how complicated is the procedure to get the financial help from the inhabitants, document deadlines, etc.?
It's very different from one beneficiary to another. Actually, there is a network of different actors in the territory, in France and in different regions. For example, Les Sept-Vents, they are also actor of this. They actually, this is more their work actually, to give this help and advice on the financial support that they can get from some grants, but not all of them. So it's quite difficult in France because you have different structures that will help you to get this financial aid, and another structure that will help you to get another financial aid. So when people come to us and they don't have any idea of this, we just give them the different contacts, and so also the contact of Les Sept-Vents. So this is a huge network, and the difficulty, the challenge here is to try to be as clear as possible for the inhabitants.
Okay. How many homes have you renovated as part of the program, and for which estimated budget?
So now we have like 5 to 6 beneficiaries a year, but you have to understand that from the very beginning of the project, we didn't have the same number of beneficiaries a year because it was at the beginning it's that you have less people. So now, from the very beginning of our project in Erter, 2012-13, we have between 30 and 40 beneficiaries. I think I don't have the exact figure, but more than 30 beneficiaries. So it means more than 30 houses. But for some houses, they have been different work sites. The budget, I cannot tell you like this because I don't know exactly what you mean with the budget. So the budget of the renovation, what it costed for the association, there are different, maybe I can tell you this later. If you tell me more specifically what you mean with the budget, like what it costed for us. What I'm not sure to.
So the person that had made the question can send you an email?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And how many participants have joined the program? How many have participated in more than 2 job sites? And did you have volunteers going beyond the time exchange they got?
So about the number of participants, we have the inhabitants, which are in the local exchange system, and we have also the volunteers. The volunteers, it's more, we don't follow them as we follow residents, of course, but we have a network now of maybe 500 people. About the volunteers, some of them come just for 1 day and we never see them again. People from, I don't know, from Paris, they heard about us, they came, they're interested, and they go back. And some of the people are volunteering from 2012 and they continue volunteering on the worksite. So it can be very, very different. So how many have participated in more than 2 work sites? But I don't have the figures, so I cannot tell you exactly how many, but so because we have this very different profiles. And about the people who give back more time that they should, actually majority of the residents who are in the local exchange system, in the time exchange system, they give more time that they need to. So actually, the accountancy is exceeding. Like people give more time that they have to. This is what I mean.
Okay, and we continue with that. What is an average lowering of consumption for homes that have that you have renovated?
So I guess we are talking about energy consumption. If this is it, we have no figures. It's very difficult actually to have a follow-up after and to be able, well, it will need a very detailed follow-up before the renovation and after the renovation. Sometimes we act just on a small work of the whole global renovation. So it's very difficult to have clear figure on that. So what we have is just not about quantity, but more about quality. We have a feedback from the residents after, so we can know how they feel in their habitat, in their house, if they feel better, if it's less cold, but we have no quantity, like figures, to give a proof of the improvement.
Did you systematically go for the BBC standard, or what was your target standard for renovation?
So no, we don't go for the BBC standards. It happens that we intervene in some global renovation project whose aim is to go to the BBC. But as I said, we are a network of different actors on the territory. Le Sedvan, they also support the renovation in a BBC standard. So, for example, this year we have been in 2 or 3 different projects which aim to reach the BBC standard. But actually, it's not very common because the BBC standard means that there is a huge global renovation project, and it's very even if there are a lot of financial aid, it can be costly. So, as NRTR want to go in majority to help the modest residents, most of them cannot afford a huge global renovation project.
Can you just mention what is BBC standard for people who doesn't know?
Yes, that's right. Bâtiment basse consommation, like a low consumption building. So there is some specific criteria to reach this level of energy efficiency for your home.
In Normandy, it means, I think, 88 kilowatt hours per square meter of energy consumption for heating. It depends on the zone of France, but it's very efficient for renovation.
It's an efficient renovation, yeah, in terms of thermal renovation. Yeah.
Okay, so we continue with the questions for Louise. Did you get pushback from local entrepreneurs for unfair competition since you are using volunteers to lower the cost of construction?
Not yet. No. No. The idea is that we go. We try to help people who don't have lots of money to afford a huge and quality renovation. So the idea is to help people who couldn't afford the price of the work if it had been done only by local entrepreneurs. But anyway, the idea is to integrate these local entrepreneurs to the system. So as much as possible, we want to make these local entrepreneurs, this craftsperson, in a position to animate, to facilitate, to be on the work site, and if they want to transmit their techniques and gesture. So the idea is to work in a network with the local craftsperson, to work together and not the one against the others. Yes, and also you have to know that there are not we have much more people who want to have their home renovated than available craftsperson. We face a problem of lack of craftsperson, so a lot of people are waiting to renovate their homes and they cannot find anyone. So it can be an answer too.
And how did you select the priority of projects?
Yeah, how I select the priority of projects, I'm not sure of this question. Well, we will go in priority at people's homes, at the homes of people who meet some criteria revenue, so modest criteria revenue. So this is where we will go, this is where we will prioritize our intervention. I'm not sure about this question, actually. I'm not sure about what to answer because I'm not sure about the meaning of the question.
Okay.
So it will be more about the vulnerability of the inhabitants, to see what inhabitants or projects will be more, not important, but they will go first.
And another one, till now, in the first stage, ST support, are you coming in as a representative of the association or the energy agency?
As an association, of course. We are a private association. We are not representing, we don't represent a public institution, even if we have some public funds to work. We are a private association. So for this support, we go as an association.
Okay, thank you, Louise. And another question for Isabel this time. Why is it difficult to do with private houses, to do this with private houses? Wouldn't the approval of the owner of the house be enough?
Well, I tried to explain you quite, it was too rapidly explained probably, but as I told you, one of the problem is, first of all, the lack of interest in restoration with natural material. We had, with this lady I show you in Crete, with whom we made the first work site, we tried to go through a project called Helps at Home, to be in touch with the people who have needs and with low incomes. But in fact, these people, if you come there in their place and you say that, okay, we are going to do, I don't know, insulation in earth, they don't appreciate that. They prefer modern material. So this is the first point of lack of awareness and belief in this material. The second one is that in Greece, a lot of projects, when you're doing renovation, you need an authorization, a permit, and people are quite reluctant. It's more easy in Greece to find a mason working black than to start to ask for authorization, and then they will check this and this, and you will have to bring some paper that will be missing, etc. So this is another problem. And also about the voluntary work. If you work, if you are volunteer working on a public place or on a building which is used for the collectivity, you will get less problem of jealousy or of problem with local mason. We can have the feeling that they lose a job in a private house. So there is a lot of small elements that was an obstacle for us. But of course, if we can overcome all these problems, we are open to do it also in private house.
Can I add something to the thing that Isabel said?
Yes, of course.
Okay. There is also the fact that as the person working on the energy center of Greece, the CAPE, said for people in need, because this program was mainly for people in need, and we try to stay on this line. Most of the time, the work we proposed were not the priority, and they needed much more than we couldn't offer with a workshop, like restoring the roof because it was raining in their house, changing the windows and all this. So we had also this problem of that they need much more than we could offer, honestly. That's it.
And Isabel, about the guide that you have represented to us, where can we find it? Is it online? Is it in English?
Yes, we have it in English. We can send it if you leave us your email, or you send us an email, but it's also on the website of the project. Florian, if you can maybe send
it didn't work on the website. So you need to send us an email, and the website will be updated soon, but we had a technical problem this morning with the website.
Okay.
So it's not yet available on the website, but it does exist in Italian, in Spanish, in Greek, in French, and in English. So just ask your language and we'll send it to you. And as soon as the website is ready, I guess very soon, you'll be able to download all these elements on the website.
Okay, you can find the Greek one on the website of the Mediterranean Center of Environment. If you go to the page of ELPS project for the Greek participants.
I don't see any other question for now. If you have one, write it down or just thumb up. So no more questions.
So Florian, maybe you will, as a leader of the project ELPS, you will close this meeting and present the
Yes.
network.
Only in the chat, I'm looking at this question. So who do I send an email to get the English guide? I think Katerina will.
Yes, you can send the email at the email that you. I'll write it out again. That you made the registration.
Yeah, can you please?
Yes, I'll
email
write.
in the chat? Okay, thank you. So I'll share my screen. I'm actually seeing Lucy. Yes. Okay, this one. Share. And I'll conclude. I think I need 10 minutes more of your time to get an overview of what we came to with this HELPS project. So I will maybe speak more about the next steps after the Erasmus Plus funding. What will we do? And to take this in charge, we created a network called Hands for Homes. and it's people that can be practitioners of 3SR or promoters of 3SR. So how did we get there? You understood that NRTR was the first source of inspiration, an initiative in France led by the team with Louise. Then we get together with 6 other partners into this European project called HELPS to see how we can adapt this source code to other countries in Europe, being Spain, Italy, and Greece. Then we focused on the creation of the concept of 3SR and discussed a lot between partners to know what was behind the methodology of NRTR. And lastly, we created this international network to disseminate our results called Hands for Homes. I just wanted to go back to this main message of this morning. If you have only one thing to take with you back home, is the meaning of 3SR, which is shared and supported self-renovation. So a group of volunteers supported by a professional, supervised by a professional helps the owner or the occupier of a house to renovate his home so that he gets better housing conditions. This system helps people in need, and renovation work respect heritage and environment. It's quite innovative as well because it changes the way craftsmen work. They are not only doers, they become teachers. And volunteers, they learn as well a lot on the building site. So it's a real virtuous circle that is created with this 3SR system, and it's quite innovative way of doing renovation for people in situation of precariousness, because it cuts their costs as well. Just a quick word about H4H networks. So first, members of and founders members of this network are of course the partners of HELPS. Then we have had new members with people participated to the trainings we organized. We still want to organize trainings for people wanting to implement 3SR in their country or region. So it's an open network. Entrance is free. If you share our values, if you think the system worth promotion, please raise your hand and sign the charter. The charter is downloadable on the website. You can as well send Katerina an email saying that you want to be a member of the Hands for Homes network, and we have an online signature possible as well. You can sign the charter online, and that is to say it's quite important to us because it was one of the key performance indicators of HELPS project, and we missed signature for the charter. So if you want to help us, please do take a few minutes to make the effort to sign our charter, and then we'll have your email address as well to give you news about other actions that we will undertake after this event. So about this, the main actions to undertake deal with the promotion of our outputs. HELPS outputs are becoming Hands for Homes tools. So the network, the main role of the network is to promote 3SR and to promote tools we have for 3SR. So I'll go deeper in the tools available for you on demand to Katerina. First, we have the charter, an argumentary. I already talked about the charter. It explains why we are doing this. if you sign what you are committed to, it means the main commitments are to support persons in poor housing conditions, to promote mutual help and solidarity through 3SR, and to promote 3SR. As well in the argumentary, the charter is 2 pages. The leaflet, the argumentary, is 8 pages where you have a deeper explanation of the positive impact of 3SR, just as Louise talked before. As well, we have at your disposal flyers, some videos, explaining some videos about experimentation in Greece, in France, about the trainings we did. So you can use this as promotion tools. A Facebook page with an history of what we did, and a website that will be updated soon and that will give you every link to every tool. So this was more about promotion. Next slide is about the guide and its appendices. So it's the main work of ELP's project was to get this guide done. It makes a 55-page guide plus 6 appendices plus 7 examples of tools that you can use when you are implementing 3SR. So this is all available for you to download. It will the guide explains you how to start, what to think about before starting 3SR, and then how to implement a successful 3SR. It goes a lot in details, and it comes with our availability as a network to exchange with you if you have questions about the guide. If you want to go deeper in details, just feel free to call us, to call NRTER or Les Advents or any partner of ELP project, member of Hands for Homes, and then it will be a pleasure to answer your questions. Next, last but not least, we did 3 trainings, 2 3-day trainings, 1 5-day training, and we have as well a competency framework of 26 pages, which deals with what are the main competencies that we need in order to implement 3SR. So it's very useful, for example, for a craftsman that want to do his work another way, to check at this competency framework, and then he will understand what new competencies he needs to do a participative workshop, to learn techniques. So you have a self-assessment questionnaire inside, and this is the behind the scene of the training. So every training that we will propose will aim at improving these competencies described in the competency framework. So a lot of tools available for you. Feel free to disseminate them as well, to explain other people that you have all this, we have all these resources to share. So where do we want to go with this network? What we would love to have an extended and living networks, meaning other countries in other organizations from the same country in the network. And so we'd like to train more and more people to do 3SR. And of course, the aim and the real center of the process, you understood it, what we want is to have less and less people in situation of precariousness. So thanks to this network, we hope we'll grow and fight against poverty. And next slide is to launch you and us on the same bench to fight against this situation of precariousness. So I hope you are ready. I know we have tools, and I really want to thank you for your participation. and your time for this seminar. Only before I conclude and close the seminar, a few remembrance. Alain, we have you have the link on the chat to evaluate the seminar and to tell us your feelings. Do you feel like you will do 3SR in the future in your country? Is the main question for this evaluation questionnaire. Of course, and again, please send Katerina to Katerina any demand to upload the outputs of ELB's project, and we'll update you if you leave your email. We'll tell you when the website is ready. So I don't know if there is any more question before I close. Of course, the full event of this morning was recorded and will be available online for people that couldn't make it today. So we'll share this as well on our website and Facebook page. And a real big thank you to every participant, every speaker, and every listener. So, okay, I think we are done. Yes.
Yeah, so just a last reminder for you all to fill the form. I just pasted the link again in case you didn't yet. Thank you all.
Okay, thanks a lot and bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your participation. Hope to see you again. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.